I'm not here to present stats. I'm just here to present vibes.
Rhino Pills and Kyrie Irving.
What the rock is cooking.
Recording live from 3. Count them 3 locations.
This is past the rock.
So organized. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by 2 great men. Caesar, aka LC's.
You know, fellas, it was nice having a weekend away from the trauma that the Eagles caused me.
Yeah, I can understand that. And Jacob, aka BETHKE.
It was disappointing to not have a week to laugh at something Nick Sirianni did, but
I'm sure he still did something funny.
I'm sure. Oh, he's gonna give you plenty of opportunities. Don't you worry.
But yeah. So obviously a lot going on still. Heart of the NFL season. We did have our first buys, as Caesar mentioned. So that gives us a tiny little break where we're gonna sneak some other stuff in here. Because those 2 whole games, because as you know, we watch every single game multiple times, so that saved us a few hours. But yeah, so obviously
that's what I listen to while I sleep the whole time.
Just the NFL broadcast, but the local radio broadcast for each losing team.
I have a night helmet that looks like Cerebro.
I listened to the All-22 film, and people were like, "What do you mean? There's no sound there." Trust me, I can hear play action.
You're like 3-step drop.
I pay for exclusive coverage to only have crisp mics on the ball and the players, so I only get.
Some producer, some hip hop producer would pay so much money to be like, I want to hear the hit. I want to hear the whatever.
Oh my god!
I want to hear this backside dig being called out.
Batman. Yeah. So I'm obviously back. I was up at Rocky Mountain Way last week.
And don't dox yourself.
What'd you say?
Don't
dox
yourself.
myself. I think it's been over a week now, so it's fine.
Yeah,
the pitchforks find you?
They have not.
Right.
I didn't realize that was a concern, but I'm glad you were looking out. It was fun.
We tried.
I've been up there when I was in high school, so it's been a long time. Nearly 20 years.
Woo!
So yeah, that was cool. Went to Denver. Started out
a different place.
Yeah, we drove, which, that's its own thing when you're already pushing. I'm not really pushing 40, but early 30s still 12 hours of driving or whatever is not fun. That was cool. Got a quick nap and then headed to Coors Field where the Rockies play. It's only my technically 4th ballpark I've ever been to. 2 of them are in Arlington, so I don't know.
It counts. I mean, I guess you can try to go to old stadiums if they still exist around the country.
Yeah. But anyway, that's really, really awesome. I'm really jealous of their whole setup. The ballpark looks beautiful. Obviously, just the weather, no matter what they call hot, it's fine. You don't want to be in the sun the whole time, but
you do got to be careful of how close you are in the sun there. Yeah, but it gets fucking hot in certain parts.
It's just a beautiful stadium. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they've even done any kind of renovation since the original build in the 90s, but it looks great. It's all brick and stuff. Comes right, obviously it's got public transportation. It's downtown, and they've got their own little Texas Live thing. But it makes more sense because it's not 1,000 degrees outside. So,
I mean,
you can only do so much,
Mr. Fans.
Yeah. It's just obviously easier when it's 68 degrees to just chill out there with a beer or whatever. So that was fun. We did go, like I said to y'all earlier, on Harry Potter Hogwarts night. So I got this cool scarf, little Hogwarts logo with all the houses, Rocky logo on the other side. Pretty basic stuff, but pretty cool. I always like to get.
So is that technically Ravenclaw?
No, they just went with the full
all four schools
I-
or all four houses.
All four houses emblem. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go with the color, that would be
I
closest.
feel like the people who were there just for the Harry Potter thing are gonna just go ahead and read that as Ravenclaw. You know?
But what I didn't know, because I think this was a late announcement after Justin Blackman announced he was retiring, is they were giving away Justin Blackman t-shirts.
Oh, nice.
Okay, nice. Just for free.
So it's an XL. Yeah, first 20,000 people there got one.
How big is the stadium?
Actually, it's a great question. 1 second.
It's like that feels like the first half of the stadium that comes in gets to have that.
It's 50,000, and it was
Oh,
not full.
shit.
And yeah,
It's a big stadium. It's a
I
big
drove
stadium.
yeah.
past
And
it,
honestly, I'm
but-
surprised it did not feel that big.
It
And
looks tall. I don't know if you thought that from the outside, like not necessarily from the inside, but when I drove, it's tucked by the highway. It's like on the
Yeah.
corner of a highway next to
Yes.
the city. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and later in the week we actually stayed at the hotel right next to it, which is part of the
Mm.
Texas Live bit. We stayed there one night, and I could see from our room, I could see down onto like their Texas Live patio area, basically.
Yeah.
And from the rooftop of the hotel, you could see the whole city, and obviously the stadium's just right there. And that's really cool. But yeah, it didn't feel that big. I did walk up to the upper deck to sit in the blue row or the purple row that marks the Mile High seats. That's a cool bit. What's really cool is the whole time you're walking through there, you can see the game. Like at every concession place, there's open views.
Oh, really?
Where I'm used to both the ballpark and Globe Life. The minute you walk out of your seat, you can't see anything, and you're lucky if there's a TV around.
I felt like the old ball. Yeah, we've talked about this. The old ballpark, I thought there was way more TV stuff. The new ballpark,
there was
atrocious.
in better locations. They were located better.
or
They were in the spots where you're waiting in line. They weren't just in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Dude, now there's such
Yes.
bullshit. Fuck, I could just go on a 50-minute rant.
At some point, I do probably have to write a letter to since I bought a 20 game plan. I got to write a letter.
Dude, honestly, I thought about the other time I was there. It's not even necessarily the TV amount. Well, the TV amount sucks. They need to upgrade. But it's also the TVs they do have are either just advertising cells, which is like, just can you figure out a way to incorporate? It's not that hard. And then the other one is they're all tiny ass screens in these giant ass open areas.
Yes,
It's insane.
I'm with you. It's
insane.
poorly designed stadium. Honestly, if the only reason it works is because it's 72 degrees in there. So we're just
you're
fine
right.
with whatever they do after that.
Yeah.
We're just capacity. I don't know. I can't think of the word right now.
Some people like
Colorado
deserve and should have theirs. I need to go to Dodger Stadium no matter what
That
because
sounds fun.
that's
I bet
incredible.
that's hot. I bet that actually feels pretty hot. It's all in the sun.
Yes, and yeah, you gotta pick your time wisely for sure on that one for sure.
Another cool feature of the Rockies Stadium is the whole like left field area, like behind the seats. Again, not closed off, just open with different unique kind of restaurant type places, concession restaurant type places around, or beer places. So even then, like when you're going to get something, you just turn around and the entire field is wide open still to you. It's awesome. It's really cool. I'm very jealous. But that was fun. So we obviously watched the Dodgers and Rockies second to last game of the year. Ohtani stole 2 bases, super fun. I took some videos, but they're not really fun to watch. Yeah, that was cool. I really enjoyed it. Other
You got a mile high and a mile high.
yeah, and other small highlights about the trip and the stadium, I guess. This Colorado hat. This is they wear their City Connect, where it's like the Green Mountain, just says Colorado above it. It's beautiful. I need to get one, but they had all the City Connect stuff on sale while I was there. So this hat, normally 40 something, was like 29. And that's
Nice.
something the Rangers might want to consider someday, that I might not want to spend $60 on a hat the second to last game of the year, but I might spend 30 and you'll get something out of it. But
They really, yeah, honestly, I don't even need to ask that
I've
question.
never seen discounted merch. They had a whole clearance section. It was awesome. Yeah, and that's
You didn't
mostly
smoke any Takal?
the sports highlights. I did sample some of old Willie's Reserve.
Is that like little
little 5-pack,
little personals?
half G pre-rolls.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
The
Yeah.
Tikal is good. I will also.
I don't know what
I
that means.
I didn't try Willie Nelson. Tikal it's Method Man.
Oh.
So he's famous. His albums were called Tikal. Tikal is like a whole. I'm not going to get into the Wu-Tang nerd thing, but it's essentially a very prominent word in any sort of Wu-Tang Method Man lore. And so he's kind of turned it into now a weed brand. And honestly, we bought this, or even it was either given to us or bought it when we bought everything else we were getting in Denver. And I've never smoked this. It was like the big baseball bat. I've never had one that actually was built so well that I could just put it out and like we could just stop and start it like pristinely, like so easily. It was crazy.
That would have been cool. I was kind of on my own on all of that, and I did buy some that were way too big. That were like, this is just. I just don't want to sit. I don't want to be doing this for this long. Like,
in Denver was a weird place publicly smoking. I don't know if you had that struggle where you were, but it was like people just there was like things that told you not to go in the alleyways, but then everyone was going in the alleyways. That I was just.
And yeah, I guess it depends on where you are and what you're doing. We were hanging out mostly in the Colfax region, where like the Fillmore is. I think I sent y'all a picture.
Yeah,
like,
you were more on the other. Yeah, I was more
right
down
across there.
I forget. I think maybe there's a convention center downtown. I was there for a wedding, so we were
would be a disservice and a joke, but it was nice. Like I said, that place was across the street. There were people lined up the day we left. I'm not sure what for, because Young Gravy wasn't going to be there for another couple days. So,
Young Gravy might have that kind of pull in Denver. You're right.
I would think he was the biggest name that week. I think Dashboard Confessional is playing there.
Oh, no, that's
this
it.
week.
That's it.
There's more bigger names. That place gets some pretty big names.
Yeah.
Another cool thing, because she lived right there across the street. It's just a crappy like burger and shake. Like it's not even an inside deal. It's like a drive-through, and they have like an outside concrete patio with a walk-up window. It's called Good Times. They're open like 7 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Just
That's
hearing
business hours.
Dude, it's great. We only went there twice, but if I lived there, I would eat there way too much.
Yeah.
No problem. Additionally, some cool pizza places, which, I don't know what Denver's known for, but they have some nice pizza places that we went to.
Rocky Mountain oysters. That's what they're known for.
Yeah, I don't think that's the thing people actually want to eat unless they're just trying to do bits, but
That could have been a bit for the show, man. Missed out.
We did a bunch. I'm not doing a full week breakdown of every minute, but I had a good time. Glad to be back. Do you have any questions about Denver that I might be able to answer before we move on?
No.
Yeah. Hold on. Never mind. I was gonna ask if you ran into Sean Payton at some of the smoke shops, but
I did meet a woman at working at a smoke shop who was born in Denton, Texas.
Which is a very small world thing, except for I think that Denton is a much weirder place than historically we've given it credit for.
Yeah. The longer back you go, the more odd you might think it is.
Yeah.
The guy who worked at the hotel when we checked in was from San Antonio. The hostess at the Italian restaurant we went to one night was from Houston. Yeah, I just kept running into people from Texas, and I was like, what's going on here?
A lot of Texas transplants, man.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
It's like, what do you guys like the weather here or something?
Honestly, when we were there, my girlfriend and I are kind of looking around the country. We're like, what kind of places would we want to establish if we're not staying in Dallas? What are we? Denver
it's
is
pricey
so,
out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll say the places to live are pricey, but the prices on everything weren't outrageous anywhere, I didn't think.
The thing that cracked me up about Denver was it was just like it was a very simple version. It was very much like Dallas about 15 years ago, maybe, where there was just less people, but it's starting to turn. It's starting to turn into this
corporate. Like it feels like there's less corporate business going on and more just a bunch of people running around all the time.
Well, driving around, I could tell that they could feel the difference in how many people live there now, because that was the first thing you could tell here. But yeah, no, it's a cool place, man.
Yeah. Anyways, it was fun. I'd like to go back someday. Yeah, maybe see some more sports. I only got to see the what is Mile High Stadium? Is it, they still call it that, or does it have like a sponsor now?
I mean, they probably will. Everyone probably still calls it that, but it's like it's not even. It was like Invesco Field or some shit for a while, and now it's something else.
I only drove by that once because it's kind of far away from everything. So
I think it's like an energy thing.
Empower Field at Mile High.
Yeah, Empower.
Sure. So yeah, then a quick hard transition into just checking in on what's going on in baseball. Bethke has watched a lot more than I have. We're currently watching Game 4 of the NLDS between the Mets and the Phillies.
Mets are about to close it out. You
And
need to
looks
just
like
tell the
Mets,
people.
Looks like the Mets are going to close it out here in the next few minutes.
Which is just crazy on two different levels. I'm not the baseball guy, but I'm aware enough to know the momentum that the Mets have carried on, as my deceased Rangers did last year, and the pressure in the expectations in Philly.
Yeah, man, that is just a tortured group. Both the fan base and the team, because it's just like they find new ways to lose in miserable fashion, and that's actually impressive. Like, it's never the same type of misery. It's always a new type of misery.
It's going to be a tough one, but we'll see. There's still outs technically, so the game's not over.
It's only a 3-run game, this one, but then they're going to have to come back and win a game 5 also, and that's rough.
It's looking tough. It's definitely looking as bleak as it could.
The real drama, as far as national media goes, I guess, has all been on Dodgers Padres, and that's probably where we'll start, because obviously that's been the most interesting storyline so far. No offense to the Tigers or the Guardians.
Tigers up 2-1 in that series.
Yeah.
And then Yankees, Royals, Bob Costas feels one type of way about this series, and no one else cares, basically.
Yeah. It's funny because obviously if the Yankees do make in the World Series, it's going to be high ratings. But every online discourse is no one wants to see the Yankees in the World Series.
Bob Costas doesn't agree. Bob Costas is like, man, can we fucking fix this shit?
He wants the big checks. He needs people watching. Yeah, so I guess the big thing happening between Padres and Dodgers was that game 2 where all the kerfuffle nonsense went down, the robbed home run and everything.
Yeah, Profar.
So early in the game, Dodgers are down 1-0. The Mets, is Darvish on the mound for this?
He should.
Yeah. He saved Darvish, and then Darvish had a really good outing.
Yeah.
Oh, you asked if he was for that game.
And then I think
Tatis was Mookie Betts almost hits a home run. Jerkson Profar robs it. Kind of does a weird taunting of the crowd with it. No one's sure if he catches it for a bit.
One guy did. One fan knew.
I mean, I think most of the fans right there knew, but the rest of the stadium wasn't quite sure what was going on. Mookie Betts got around second. The graphics still on the screen before anyone actually on the field seemed to realize that the ball was caught.
Yeah, they threw up a run on the screen. Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Later in the game, was it Tatis who throws a ball and people say it was towards the dugout of the Dodgers?
Yeah. So he does that, but then I think earlier there's a fan video.
I can't remember which came first, the fans throwing stuff on the field or him throwing that ball towards the dugout.
But did you see the fan video that I'm pretty sure predated all of this?
No.
So there's a video of him basically just going out there and fucking
I did see his dancing, yes.
Pelvic thrusting at the fans while they're taunting. I'm not gonna lie. I think this is a situation where all parties are guilty. Basically, stop fighting in the parking lot is the moral of the story for this series. Is my official take on Padres Dodgers.
It only gets into a weird spot where if you're an outfielder and the fans behind you are throwing stuff, that's just not okay for anybody. You know what I mean? It's not okay.
Yeah. Stop the game. Do what you gotta do.
To throw stuff anyways, but obviously, especially scary if your back's completely turned towards these people shouting who knows what at you and throwing stuff at you.
If you're gonna be stupid enough to fight, just do it where we can catch you on camera, where there's a lot of people to stop escalations. Not in the parking lot. That's all. That's the lesson we're trying to teach people, and especially Dodger fans. It seems to be a consistent problem with Dodger fans. They want to blame. Maybe the Giants are responsible. Maybe the Padres are responsible. But ultimately, there's a common denominator here.
It's crazy because you think with all the Braun and Bronny stuff going on, they'd all be chill. So maybe they're not getting the chill fans because they're all at the Braun and Bronny stuff.
Yeah, they're all watching preseason Lakers basketball like the rest of us.
I mean, it is definitely a basketball town. But yeah, the Padres might end up meeting the Mets in a battle of who's that effing team this year. And I would pull for the Padres probably in that situation because I like Darvish, I like Profar. There's a lot of other former Rangers in the front office there, I think. With AJ
JD, JD's over in
AJ Preller's over there.
Yeah,
who people thought he might someday replace JD, but that obviously things went a different direction. And hey, we got World Series, so I don't know who our new GM is going to be. We'll get to that later in the offseason because Chris Young did get extended and promoted, and I don't think they've actually said who the actual general manager is now.
Yeah. They might be waiting on other franchises, some decisions to be made.
Yeah, and they also got to find out how their games are going to be seen by anybody. That's another conversation for later down the road. Teaser for a couple weeks from now when there might be updates to actually talk about it. So that's probably about it. Unless you have anything other baseball crazy you wanted to go through.
No, I think that was basically it. Who am I bandwagoning? I think secretly you said it there. Detroit, I do want them to go ahead and finish that series because they got some pitchers there that are kind of fun to watch.
I'm okay with Cleveland. I'm okay with pretty much everyone.
No, I don't want them to win, though. I want it to be a big market championship because big market championships make people salty a little bit.
Well,
it's kind of
Detroit's
fun.
a big market.
Nah, let's get out of here with that. Yankees aren't going to do it, but I would like the Yankees to continue to be a part of this narrative for as long as possible because it's always funnier. Phillies are dead. That don't even need to worry about that. Dodgers are just incompetent as fuck, so I'd rather see the Padres talent. Dodgers have Ohtani, so I want to root for them. I want to see him keep going, but that is such an incompetent franchise consistently.
Yeah, I'm not a big believer in sports ever being rigged, but if it did somehow end up Dodgers Yankees, I might be concerned for the Ohtani Judge stuff, but
they'd be really hurting for some money there for sure to fix it like that because it doesn't look like either of those teams are the best. But I'm not a baseball guy. I know the Rangers barely, and that's it.
All right. Now we'll move quickly into my last little bit here before we get into the big football stuff of the week. Obviously, you see this all has been cleaned up. If you're wondering why, it's because the Dallas Stars season starts tomorrow, so it's time to
get ready.
Just reset it. I thought about actually shaving into a mustache type shape of some sort, and then got lazy and moved on.
Like a musketeer.
I was gonna try to do because I can get it kind of out a little bit, but I can't get it to grow much further out. It just kind of starts growing down. I don't really know what you're supposed to do there. But
this actually looks absolutely atrocious in person, but the camera makes it kind of work. So I get an extra day before I have to actually shave in these situations. It's beautiful.
But yeah, not just a whole lot has changed on the Stars roster this year. A couple names here and there, swapping in, swapping out. High expectations again. They should be competing for the cup, if not in the final four at least. Again, they're just they're on paper, they're too good. So we'll see. That's fun. That starts tomorrow night, Thursday night. If you're watching, it might be your tonight or your yesterday, or even further back in the past than that, depending on how far in the future you're watching this.
Best of luck to the Dallas Hockey Stars, but at this point, I'm gonna have to play the stereotypical "we'll see you in the playoffs" because
it's a lot of games.
It's hard to invest in this situation as these outskirt fans that we are, Caesar. It's this team is so talented and so promising. They're teasing me. They want me to be in, but they're not.
And here's the thing:
they're not carpe in the diem.
Yeah, and then one thing I heard about the Stars is they have the second best odds in Vegas, betting odds. I was like, okay, you really, really want me to pay attention, and it's
a very, very good roster.
Patient.
It's an incredible roster.
So they need to start off 20-0, right?
Not gonna happen.
Historical.
But yeah, that's fun stuff.
Hey man, they start 20-0, I'm in.
Honestly, that's what I mean. Like, let's get the little Golden State Warriors on these asses. You know, it's been brewing for a while.
Well, especially for me with the Rangers being out, this is a big time of year now. Something to take my full attention during the week at least.
You're not watching Stephon Castle basketball?
Not yet. That's in a couple more weeks. I'm not watching preseason basketball.
Don't mess with the Sochan.
Another future tease, though, I do get to see the Spurs' first 2 games this year, which means I get to see the Mavs and the Rockets. So that'll be cool.
Those Rockets are going to be fun to watch. I don't know if they're good, but it'll be fun.
It's in San Antonio, so it'll be a good time. Hopefully we beat up on them and we just have a party. But anyways, that might wrap it. Oh, yeah, I just want to mention Utah Hockey Club exists now. They won their first game against Chicago. There's some funny
Utah Hockey Club,
There's some funny pictures and videos about some of the weird seating situations that they obviously didn't have time to fix before the season because it was such a rushed decision. So there's like one where it's like a corner of a section is by itself with a bunch of space, like where the glass is. You're kind of just on the glass by yourself above it. Nice. It's just angled oddly because I don't know what that arena is made for. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
There's other seats where you literally can't see the goal that's in front of you. You can only see like 92%.
Where are they playing at?
Ball Arena? No, that's Denver.
No, they're playing at the Jazz Arena.
Yes. So they obviously haven't picked a name yet, so they're still calling themselves hockey clubs. They don't have a mascot, so they brought out the Jazz Bear and just gave him like a hockey stick and had him running around doing bits. Which I'm fine with. Honestly, I wouldn't mind if they shared a mascot.
Why is that city so unserious about this? They say we deserve all these things, and then it's like
dude. This was such a poorly on all fronts, just an S show. You know, they just were given a team last minute, like, hey, a season starts in 6 months, get it going. That's not how this works normally.
Well, they need to come up with a whole new city plan for their sports.
I'm glad they decided to take their time to pick their mascot. That's fine. I did hear a funny thought that was every professional team in Utah should just continue to call themselves the Jazz. Just to exponentially
I'm
increase
in
the
on that bit.
Dude, you know how sad it makes me every time I see these New Orleans fans like doing New Orleans Jazz era stuff with their merch, and I'm like, that looks so fucking cool, man.
How long
like,
ago was that?
It was the 60s and 70s. It was not.
I was like, I know that there's a reason. As a kid, I didn't think about it until one day I thought about it and was like, wait, why is Utah the Jazz?
People didn't give a fuck about anything at that point, let alone the name of basketball teams. So like, it just stuck. They should have changed it a long time ago to something that had anything to do with the state of Utah. And then we could have had an easy solution. And now people are like, well, Karl Malone happened, so we can't just change it. And it's like, well, that's just not a great. That's not.
Isn't that a reason to change it?
Yeah, I think we should treat Utah like Germany, but that's just me.
We'll leave that as our hot sports opinion there, and then quickly move away from anything like that for now. It is election season, so who knows what the next few weeks will look like. That's pretty much it on the Stars. I'll keep y'all updated. I'm gonna try to hold myself more accountable on doing just a weekly, only 10 minutes, because I can't talk that much about myself. It's fine. Just to recap what's going on every week. And then, one other non-football related note that I should have let off the whole pod with. We are in the process of writing and hopefully soon filming our Pass the Ox segments for your musical pleasures. So
there's a new hat dropping too. That's where really at this point what I'm waiting on. Yeah, I gotta have a hat to do Pass the Ox, you know.
Yeah, we're
new hat.
Yeah, like a new hat. I gotta have a coordinating hat for bits here. So it's very important that
I see what you're saying.
Pass the Ox also be represented with its own hat.
Fair enough. I actually do have at least one hat that is from a band. I think. Yeah.
My only band hat that I have, I ruined. So
mine's dirty as hell, but I'll wear it. It's a white hat, so what are you gonna do? But yeah, that pretty much wraps up what I brought to the table this week. I think it's about time we pass this thing on to Bethke for the Sloopity Hoops. Hoopity whoops. Scoop the scoopity poops.
Yeah, so really what I have outlined for the next 15 to 20 minutes is we're just going to break down every preseason game thus far. We're going to talk about a minute by minute reaction, box score, plus minus. We're going to see everything that it takes to see, hey, is this second round pick going to be on a 10-day contract? Is somebody going to, make him a part of the active roster? What's this guy going to do if he doesn't make the roster? This is important nuances of the basketball season. No, honestly, I think it started earlier than I remember, but this always happens. It's like 3 weeks before the actual start of the season, they do preseason games. Yeah, the Abu Dhabi, you have Hawaii, you have did they do one in Vegas? I think they do one in Vegas. There's a lot of like annual restart games that they do now. And it's like just a bunch of preseason exhibitions for just the love of the Harlem Globetrotters, basically.
I have one basketball question for you. So we saw the leaks for the City Connects.
Mm-hmm.
And are those generally, you think that's pretty much what we're getting, right? It's weird that the leaks don't have numbers, but
what do you mean? With all of the teams?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that graphic that came out is accurate at this point. I stopped caring because I think Nike stopped caring because everybody seems to be dead on with these leaks every year. And I don't think they've missed yet, at least not this close. I've seen them miss, or like if it was 2 months ago, I probably would call bullshit. But now that we're this close, I guarantee you that's what it is.
There's some good ones. But my real question is, so the Denver one just says 5208.
Yeah, they just keep doubling down.
Are there going to be numbers underneath that?
I forgot what theirs look like full.
Well, they haven't put the numbers. The graphic I saw didn't have numbers. Everyone had it was a jersey with no numbers, so I didn't see where all the placements would be.
Maybe some of them are. Maybe that's their theme this year. Honestly, Nike just keeps bastardizing the jerseys, so I don't know what to say at this point. Just expect everything.
All right. Sorry to interrupt you. That was just the only basketball thing that I've thought about the last probably 2 weeks. So.
That's fair. I know positives. So there's some cool new courts this year for the in-season tournament instead of all the awful blinding ones. There's a little bit more subtle, more awesome. Like the Lakers one looks cool. Their jerseys, but the logo on the court, I thought that was really sick the way they did it. It's very simple, but it just is a nice way to change up the way they do things. Pelicans are bringing the Skellington back. We're happy to see that. That was fucking awesome branding. Don't go away from shit that works. So yeah, that's what we'll be seeing. I think the Mavericks just went and did a blue or gray version. I forgot what theirs was, but it's basically Leon Bridges, just a little bit different this year.
It's really it's
another
really,
lazy design.
Really boring. There's
at this point, you can't reinvent the wheel every year. I don't know what they're supposed to do.
I think if they just kept the design, but actually put some kind of color on it, it would look good.
I think that I don't know what these teams are supposed to do because there's just an expectation.
The Allisons are we want it to be white. I don't think I've heard Miriam Adelson talk. That is not at all what her voice sounds like.
No, she's definitely a woman born in Israel. But yeah,
white. I need them to be white.
Yeah, no, I think everybody's just trying to get through as many of these as they can because it's just going to keep happening every year. You should have to keep reinventing the wheel every single year because Nike and the NBA are greedy. I mean, that's the thing. It's the same thing with the players. It's like LeBron's going viral over today, bitching about flying to Milwaukee to play a preseason game. But at the same time, while it's valid that maybe he's complaining about playing preseason or not playing regional preseason games, whatever his gripe is that he's getting at here, it still kind of comes to that larger. It's about money. Do you want to take less money? Because if you take less money, then you can have these things, but you don't want to take less money. So that just kind of is what it is. Speaking of LeBron, of course, we've gotten to see Bronny and LeBron play together. I am still curious if this forces JJ Redick's hand. Yeah, I mean, the biggest question is, does this force JJ Redick's hand in the regular season, even opening night, because I'm pretty sure they're one of the opening night games. Does it pressure him to play Bronny in those games? I would hope not. But because we've got to see it, they're going to play in preseason a few more times together. There's
Minnesota,
plenty of time.
Minnesota at LA.
There's going to be plenty of time throughout the regular season, so I'm really hopeful there. But yeah, you said it. October 22nd is the start of the season.
I mean, you can throw him in the last couple minutes of the half of the first.
We'll see how they handle it. I am just interested to see how much of an obligation they feel with the preseason existing. I mean, we are seeing it. Like, they're going to play. There's nothing but reason for them to play together right now.
Those aren't real games.
Well, if he's like, they're not going to cut him. They're not going to move on to a different like rookie two-way player this season. So like, it's probably a good chance that the Lakers are going to play him at some point anyway. Naturally, it's a long season, so it's just one of those things. Obviously, everyone cares about. With good reason. It's awesome in a way, but at the same time, the Lakers are building a new program, especially JJ Redick. You don't want to get started off overcompensating for this media thing.
It's too bad it's not like a Griffey situation, but where the kid is.
Yeah, I mean, Bronny at this point is basically going to have to fight for an NBA career.
Junior's dad wasn't like a world beater or anything.
It's a little reverse.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's it, and maybe that's the reverse. Maybe Bronny just
nice. If Bronny could just be a decent role player, that'd be cool as hell.
Then that's the goal for Bronny. Will he do it? We'll find out. New coaches, new players, fan delusion at all-time high. That's pretty much the only other thing about NBA preseason that you need to be thinking about is everybody's solving everything. Everybody's fixed. Everything's perfect. Everyone's going to start the season off 10-0.
Chris Paul's winning MVP this year.
I mean, Chris Paul will probably be the difference, or could very well be the difference between the Spurs making playoffs and not. But yeah, we'll get to storylines like that this season as we go. WNBA is taking the center stage at the moment. Both of the conference semifinals, I guess, there's no conferences, so it's the semifinals in total.
Yeah.
So you have the Aces and the Liberty. That was a rematch. The Aces were going for three-peat. Unfortunately for them, they kind of ran out of gas. They were a little older. They're going to have to maybe tool a little bit going into next season. Liberty have just restocked. They've gotten a little older, a little bit better, and they are kicking the fucking shit out of people's asses. And so it's going to be fun to see them in the WNBA finals. They'll be going up against Nafisa Collier and the Minnesota Lynx. Minnesota Lynx are a very talented defensive squad, and they have Nafisa Collier, who at this point, with all due respect to the players on Liberty, especially Brianna Stewart, could very well be the best player in the series.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's official. It's official, by the way. Yeah, it's official. Phillies are dead. I told you this first. You heard it here first.
I got you.
Yeah.
No,
you heard it here first the next day or maybe later.
Now, when I saw Carlos Short, was like, 0-9 against that pitcher for the Mets. Was it Edwin what?
Edwin I wasn't something? Looking that closely.
Either way, Edwin Diaz. I was like, they're fucked. They're fucked. If they have runners on the corners, they can tie the game up. Nope.
No, they had nothing in the tank.
All right, the city of Philadelphia is going to burn after this Sunday, but that's for later.
Yeah, we're going to enjoy some other irrational fan bases suffering a tough L here in a second in the college foosball section. But to finish up, WNBA finals are going to start over tomorrow. Go ahead and watch that. It's probably going to be some of the best basketball. It's been a great season. This is a great competition. Sure, the Aces, not three-peating is it's whatever in the grand scheme of things. You get Nafisa.
Probably good for the league to let someone else get in right now when other people are watching.
And honestly, the Liberty could make an argument, especially if they fucking shithouse the Lynx, that they have put together one of the best WNBA franchise, best teams of all time. Because they've just basically dog-washed everybody this entire season. They've been good for a while. This isn't necessarily new. And now they look like they're unstoppable. Oh, and might I add, one of their best players didn't even play this season because she was playing for France because of the whole Olympics thing. So next year they're going to come back with a whole nother aspect to that team, as is, I'm pretty sure. Maybe even with some other star players because the WNBA is still kind of in that weird position. So
Are the finals only a 5-game?
What? Yeah,
Are the
they're
finals
only 5. Yeah, only a 5-game. I mean, they'll extend these eventually, but these girls have to get over to overseas commitments too, so they have to rush these games in. I mean, the finals start tomorrow. This thing just ended yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
I like that. I like that schedule. They're cramming the whole finals in 2 weeks. Give me that.
yeah, I mean
hate
that.
the way the NBA and the NHL schedules the playoffs.
But they know because of the popularity of those sports, they can ring it out, and that's what they're going to do. Is there no more baseball tonight?
No, I don't think so.
I thought all four things were happening tonight. Yeah, there is. Yankees Royals is on still. It's on right now.
Yeah, where is that? Why don't I have that?
Yankees up 2-0.
Oh, there it is.
All right, we're college foozing. That means we got to go to the
College
next. We got to go. Look, I don't even know. Oh, okay. Did you see this, Patrick? You can jump into the foos thing.
We're on the transfer portal now.
We're in the transfer portal right now because I haven't found something better.
Honestly,
But in due time.
I think it's good. I think it's good.
In due time. All right. So we were going to just usually go through our regular watch list, our notable games, and then tell you, hey, idiot, if you're not doing anything this weekend, watch these games. That's our usual bit. We're going to do a little bit of derailment here. Not because we have to go any deeper into this. We don't really need to debate all of that there is to debate on this one. I just wanted to bring this to y'all's attention because it definitely feels like this is one of the little things that's happening behind the scenes of the business of the sport that's pushing us into whatever the final version of the new college. Like college football is in a metamorphosis in a way, right? It's a cocoon state right now. And right now it's maybe trying to be a butterfly, essentially is what Project Rudy could be. However, I'll leave this by saying I think Project Rudy probably won't happen. I think some version of Project Rudy will happen by official more already in this entities than these people. But anyway, the tagline of this is everybody will be saved. So you already have quite a hook there that there's about 20 or more programs, all of their athletic directors have seen this pitch. They're really interested in it. They're calling it the miracles fix to this. I just want you to start by before I even any detail. Just know that they're calling this a savior option. That's where we're going.
My initial problem is calling it Project Rudy, but we'll move on.
Yes, unfortunately, it isn't named Project Rudy, of course, after the Notre Dame thing. Go watch the movie if you haven't understood that.
And then go Google what he did after.
And then understand that the movie is not the real story.
No, go watch the movie. That's why people love it. And then maybe you can do the documentary if you want to realize the other part. But it is a part of college football lore, whether we like it or not. Smash Capital is the firm that's kind of pitching this. I think they're based in in the LA and New York area.
They do burgers, right?
Yeah, Smash Burgers corporate headquarters. They're made up of former Disney executives. And essentially, right now, this week, apparently, I think either today or tomorrow, they're going to be pitching to the commissioners of the Big Ten and the SEC, which is essentially, if you don't know, essentially the most important two gentlemen in all of the college football world right now is those two guys.
It's like when Adam Silver meets with the CEO of Nike.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. The proposal.
Hey, these guys are responsible for blockchain com.
Ugh. Yeah, great. They're like I said, I'm not feeling like Smash Capital is going to get this one done, but I do think this idea or some version of it is the likely future of college football. It's a 70-team Super League. It preserves the 4 power conferences, the Big 12, the SEC, the Big 10, and the ACC. It expands the playoffs, although it wasn't very clear on how. It overhauls the scheduling to where no FCS or Group of 5 team can be scheduled on your schedule.
Yeah, and I've heard this kind of talk.
Which is the biggest point of
contention?
Contention on the internet with this story. And the media rights for all, so that everyone's getting paid off of one media rights deal. But hold up, there's more. 3 tiers of payouts. So, for instance, for no particular reason, say a typical tier 1 school like Alabama would, make a little more money, significantly more money than a tier 3 school that would still qualify, like, well, let's say Vanderbilt.
Baylor. Oh.
For no particular reason, I bring those two teams up. So guys, that's it. There is, like I said, I would be surprised, even though I know a bunch of ADs are like, oh my God, this is some great stuff right here. We should really think about this. I think that most likely they're going to preserve the FCS and group of 5 schools because that's such a good way for them to make money. I don't think that they'll cut them off. So I do think that relegation.
Yes, that was what I was gonna say. It's our chance. We can finally get some relegation.
I just don't see how relegation works either.
UNT can push SMU out of the Big 12 every other year.
That would be great.
I mean, I feel like relegation is way too hard of a conversation to have, and that's where I feel like it's a non-starter. But I mean, it's something to be hopeful for. I mean, if it's
the only way for those teams to make up the millions of dollars they're going to lose from not getting the schedule and ass kicking by a blue blood once or twice a year,
I mean, I think at
how
this
many programs
point,
are funded by the time they play Texas, or by the time they play USC?
We have seen some. I mean, I think TCU probably was one of the early models of being able to utilize funds
to actually turn it into something.
You have to have an alumni base. The alumni base also has to match that. You know what I mean? It can't be one.
But this is an option to have a consistent flow of cash every year that you know what it is, and it can only get better unless you suck.
Yeah,
I do. It's not going to happen. I would love it for it to happen. It would be really fun, and I think.
But we are going to see some version of a league
cool system for the kids.
Yeah. But could you imagine like a big name program getting relegated? That would be.
Can you also? Yeah, and how much fun would it be to have a game at the end of the year where if UNT wins, they're going to the Big 12 next year? Like
I hear you, but I think that relegation is.
We could fill Apogee. For once, we could fill Apogee.
I think the best you could maybe do is that there is the existing conferences, everything kind of stays as is, except for now there's like this 70-team buffer, right? There's like this magical top 70 or whatever programs, and that's a different way. But then you're getting into rankings and computers, and no one likes that either. So it's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's kind of a bitch of a problem to fix. I do think they'll figure out some version of helping us maintain what we've known for so long and just modernize it and keep these programs probably not from saving themselves, but at least give this some structure. Yeah. But yeah, so that's Project Rudy. Like I said, who knows what it'll actually turn out to be. Weekly watch list. We're going to get to it. It wasn't too crazy on the watch list. We basically just gave you all the top games of the week.
It was really odd watching the rest of the SEC play.
Yeah, I mean, you're for the first time actually watching SEC football. It's not just the big games or something. You're like, this is
just
my
actually paying
conference
attention.
now.
I mean, I have to know what's happening, and now I follow the YouTube funny guys and all that. It's fine.
Nice.
But
well, there's more SEC content, which is good for Texas fans, I guess. That's nice.
Yeah.
There's definitely a lot more content.
Yes, there was already a joke in one of the big ones about Texas saying, "Why do I always have to carry this conference?" Which is hilarious, and let the good times roll. But it was weird. It was weird just watching everyone else having the bye week is an odd feeling.
And it was a good week to be on a bye week, perhaps, because this was not the week of favorites. Not the week of favorites at all. So UNT and Texas both were off, both powerhouse schools off. There were some games that went on. We started with Syracuse UNLV, I believe, on Friday night. That one ended up being quite a fun one. If you like the barn burner types, 44-41 Syracuse in overtime. Kyle McCord, the Ohio State transfer, he's still looking pretty good there. ACC may be on the horizon. I did want to give you guys the stat line because it cracked me up. He threw 40 for 63, right? 63 attempts, completed 40 for a net of 355 yards. So that was a funny stat line. I just enjoyed that one. Well, it's a lot of throws for 355 yards. That's mostly where I'm like, holy shit. It was 63 attempts.
63. Jesus. Sorry, I heard 53, which is still a lot, but yeah, 63 is a whole nother.
63 is an astronomical amount of attempts
yards.
for anybody in any game.
What was his yards per average?
Fine.
I
Come out to, like,
didn't look that up,
My
and I'm
brain
not a
math. My
but
brain math
yeah.
sucks.
Probably like 6 yards or something.
That is definitely a product of these new offensive systems, and probably not a great look for Kyle McCord's NFL.
Yeah, 5.5-ish yards per
We shall
attempt.
see.
Attempt, not completion, but attempt.
Yeah, per attempt. Ugh.
The biggest headline, I think, the surprise game, except for me, I think I told you guys, I think I told everybody here. Well, the surprise of the games we highlighted, not the other notables, not the stuff
Okay,
that surprised
like-
us all together.
It's like there's more than one.
We're still in the part that we talked about. I think a lot of people were surprised, but I was surprised by the level of ass whooping. But Mizzou got absolutely, completely trounced at Kyle Field. The referees did not make this an easy start, and plausibly you could argue that Mizzou could have gotten to a 14-3 lead, 14-10 lead, whatever you want to argue.
Well, there was never a time in that game outside of those two moments where it looked like their team was going to move the ball.
Yeah, I mean, even if you were watching that game, those were big plays that they had hit on ultimately, but were plays that, you know, in one case, it was a bad missed PI call, so you didn't even hit on it. You just basically attempted it. You should have got it, but it was a PI. They didn't call it. That was bullshit. We all saw it. The next one, you know, it's unfortunate. Like, you just, like, the situations happen. You know, the biggest question, though, I have, they couldn't stop the run. That was the biggest thing. Couldn't stop the run. It looked bad. They got little brothered. I thought Mizzou had been showing a lot of evidence that they weren't ready to play SEC football this year, even though they were so highly touted. And the Aggies proved me right. And they proved me right in that I also have more faith in the Aggies than I think a lot of people have this year. And I'm surprised, and I'm interested to see where that still heads. But well, that's a different story.
I've never really talked to any Aggies about this. I wonder if they have like a unique, we need to beat Mizzou since they're kind of joined at the hip for joining at the same time and all that.
I'm sure that there's probably some of that, but I think ultimately the Aggies are just trying to, you know, chase that coveted, you know, the moth, the flame.
Yeah,
They want to be the best program in the world. You know, they want to be Bama. And every little bit looks good. And honestly, I thought Elko was a great hire because he just makes sense. He fits the program. Be the program you are. Don't force it to be something else. And then maybe you win enough championships to do something special. Maybe. But you have to kind of earn it. You know what I mean? You have to get to that point. They've got a decent team this year. They've got NFL players on defense. They've got a decent offense with a really good running game, a quarterback who, if he's not throwing stupid interceptions, can help you win games.
What I love about the Aggies is they're always like kind of good.
And they're an interesting group. And
now we are in an era where you don't even have to be very good for the full season because there's 12 teams that are going to play for it. So
exactly.
That could open things up.
And the reason I like Mike Elko is because I thought that he delivered what I think their version of a college football coach needs to be. A more genuine blue-collar type X's and O football guy. You know, get your offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
They got Colin Klein, the former, you know, Kansas State quarterback. He's their OC. They've tried to figure out something modern, you know, bring in smart guys. People have been doing that. Maybe it'll work, maybe it doesn't. But it's guys like Eli Drinkwitz that kind of make me worry. That's why Mizzou is also on my radar. As much as I'm not necessarily praising the Aggies, I'm giving them credit. Mizzou was such a fraud, such a clear paper tiger. And potentially we have the biggest evidence in this game, not because they got trounced, but because potentially a social media post that went viral before the game might have been done by the head coach or someone on the staff of Mizzou to fake that the Aggie player. So basically
I missed this.
There was a blanket sent by the Aggie cornerback, a guy who just transferred over to
I saw
the
that.
Aggies.
Yeah.
Apparently he left a blanket for a kid in his room, right? Or at least that's what they alleged. Elko says it didn't happen. Elko has no knowledge of this. Of course, maybe that's what he would say, blah, 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 right? Who knows?
Well, why would the player tell him he's doing that?
Yeah, we don't know, right? So, but he alleges it. A lot of other people are starting to believe this. And Eli Drinkwitz is kind of the coach that is a little more of this fake rah-rah bullshit. And I kind of buy that he would have done it. Obviously,
like his own coach sent it to his room,
right? Like to motivate the
something
player.
like that, yeah.
And so that's the kind of shit that I'm talking about with these head coaches. But anyway, that's not me praising the Aggies yet. I'm giving them credit, and I'm telling you I was right as fuck about Mizzou. Moving into Dallas-related news. Believe the hype, SMU, because you beat Louisville. You're in a really good spot. And I'm guessing by this look on your face, Patrick, that you've seen an update in the baseball.
Oh, yeah, the Royals just tied the game.
Yankees they're trying. MLB is sitting there, they're trying. They're like,
I think I'm delayed. I'm delayed because I'm watching it on Unamas.
yeah, no, I feel you.
That's not why. But the commercials have been a lot more interesting. I can tell you that.
All right. You know who's been interesting? South Oak Cliff quarterback, starting SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings.
Trying to tell.
Prime time X. Hey, who the fuck would have thought I would next? Brought out these diamonds just so I could flex. These diamonds surprising like Russian roulette. Might just go buy a limb, I can fit in the bed. I can't go with my pole, I put this on the set. If I do when I live, I'ma spin with that yet. Hey, 19 on the hearse.
All right. We just wanted to salute that SMU program getting right where they need to be in a new conference.
I'll never cheer for SMU, but I will acknowledge Kevin Jennings.
No, I have a strong feeling about this. I'm a UNT grad. I love UNT. I don't believe in rivalries that don't exist. That rivalry does not really truly exist other than like kind of fun for jokes.
I don't think anyone at SMU has ever thought about North Texas in their life.
Not one time.
No, honestly,
not
a lot
in
of
a
times.
disrespectful way. There's just no reason for them to, unless they like came from UNT to SMU, because that happens a little bit. But
and a lot of times, SMU people really aren't even that invested in football, so they're like, "What are you even talking about?" They're like, "UNT plays us." Like, okay, that's interesting.
I'm
you know
sure,
what I mean?
yeah, I'm sure there's a segment of the Greek undergrad that are really into it, but I don't know about the rest of the people who are there for law school and all that other nonsense.
Yeah, SMU and UNT are not that different, other than the financial backgrounds that most of us come from. I think is namely the thing is that I appreciate about that rivalry.
Yeah, it's the bandwagon nature of both.
They're the two biggest
fan
schools
bases.
north of Fort Worth, so
Yeah, the bandwagon nature of both schools, but then you look at the financial situation of the student population. You're like, all right.
if UTA had a football team, you guys would be kicked out of that conversation immediately. It would be all UTA, SMU all the time.
Ooh, I mean, I've heard the argument, but yeah, UTA's not got they don't have the resources.
I don't know how that works. If they're part of the UT system, do they just get like bonus trickle down money? I don't know.
I don't know, but I would say this. Listen, I've seen a lot of new programs, startup programs, just immediately eclipse UNT, who's had over 80 years of history. And I'm like, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Here comes Tarleton.
Hey,
Yeah.
I need y'all to put some respect on the current Mean Green situation, okay?
It's fine. I'm not saying
they
they're
are
not
good. What do you mean? They're good right now.
Yeah, but it is wild to see like programs not even half the age of UND just immediately become better. And
we're the best transfer portal school in the world now because everyone lives in DFW and wants to hang out for a year.
It sucks to have peaked with one single player in like the 60s. When did Mean Joe Green play there?
The 60s.
Did they even peak though? I don't even know if they were that good when he was there because they won some.
No, they were. They had really good seasons in the 60s.
As the lore goes, that's the peak in my head.
So here's quick UNT.
It's hard to beat having a fucking whole school, mascot named after you.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So one
really
thing
fair
for you guys to know is that this was a very good like FCS level program back in the 60s. We had a very famous head coach who ended up going to Iowa. You might know the name Hayden Fry.
Oh, okay.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so Hayden Fry made that school good, UNT, and then unfortunately, he would end up leaving UNT in like the late 70s and turned Iowa into an actual program because UNT just did not have the money or the facilities to,
Now we just take ex-Texas Tech offensive coordinators, which honestly, hey, at this point, it's 50-50. Seth Luttrell was mediocre. Now we have Eric Morris, who looks like higher levels of mediocre. I kind of like it.
If you get the guy who beat y'all by like 50 this year, maybe it'll...
Yeah, exactly. We just need, as soon as they fire that guy, he's on his way. All right, so keep it moving. Rutgers no longer unbeaten. The Nebraska Cornhuskers win in Nebraska football ways, a balmy 14-7 score. Of course, that's Nebraska Cornhusker football. They can have their Patrick Mahomes mini clone as a quarterback, but he's still going to have to conform to Nebraska Cornhusker football.
Speaking of, I just saw Patrick Mahomes in the crowd at the Royals Yankees game.
Yeah, dude, always making it about himself, man.
I hate those. Oh man, and it's always when LeBron says anything. If LeBron speaks, everyone's like, he's got to make it about himself. It's like,
how fucking dare he exist?
Yeah, like come on. The only time I would agree was the time he's like, why didn't y'all ask me about Jerry Jones?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, that's a weird one.
Sorry. All right. The last game we highlighted last week to watch, Miami Cal. It was the big game. It was, in fact, a big game. It was 35-10 with 8 minutes left. Everyone was stunned that Miami was dead to rights. But you know what? Miami had just enough voodoo, some sort of substance on the sidelines, and they got through it.
Face mask penalty coming.
Listen, man, nobody should be watching football doggy style like that. I'm just saying.
No, that's the power.
Face mask penalty coming.
That's power right there.
Who is that?
Sure.
It's Michael Irvin.
His hair's that long right now? Can I see that one more time?
Face mask penalty coming.
Hey,
I haven't seen him in a bit.
Mike Irvin, bro. I don't know if those are good genetics, if that's good doctor.
A lot of good cocaine.
I don't know. Yeah, cocaine preserves the hair. I don't know. These are questions scientists can answer.
I've just never seen him grow it out or shape it like that, at least.
Yeah. No, he's been doing a lot of this kind of stuff for a little while now, for sure.
I haven't seen him pretty much since he got banned from the Super Bowl.
No, yeah, he pops up a lot in just random ways for his teams and for especially he goes viral a lot when Luka's doing well. I love that too. He just randomly is a part of Mavs lore now. It's kind of great. So 39-38, Miami survives. A miracle. Coke did beat woke at the end of the day, which does feel like the theme of the 80s. But either way, we will move forward.
I like that one.
Thank you. All right. In the other notables, the games that we didn't highlight because we thought, hey, why the fuck would you care about Alabama Vanderbilt, right?
Which I gotta say, we got out of the Rockies-Dodgers game and walked to a bar a couple blocks down the street and got to watch basically the last 5 minutes of that fourth quarter.
That's nice.
So fun.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy one. I definitely didn't tune in until a little bit later, into probably about the third quarter sometime, whenever I realized, holy shit, this is seeming to be solidified. And they did. Vandy knocked off Bama 40-35.
Wait, I've got my upsets mixed up. We were in the bar for.
There's a lot of.
We were in the bar for Bama upsetting Georgia. Sorry.
Oh, you were okay. You were in the other one.
I was home this week.
Yeah,
I was thinking about it. I was like, wait.
They wish that was what happened this time. Yeah. So the quarterback goes viral after the thing. You probably saw that clip. He also, I thought more notably, admitted that his game day ritual all time, I believe he's a senior. So the whole time he's been in college, he watches Johnny Manziel beating Bama before every game to hype himself up.
They're good highlights.
Okay, but that's where I need further investigation. Is it the highlights? Because he made it sound like it was the whole game.
He's watching the YouTube condensed. He's not sitting there watching the 5 hour. He doesn't have time for that.
Dude, what if somebody knew he liked it that much and burned him
he would be bored. He only wants to watch Johnny Manziel run around like an idiot.
No, he wants to see he needs to see the whole thing. Anyway, it was crazy. I could say a million things about Kalen DeBoer losing to Vandy, but that wouldn't do it justice. So I made a video. Sit back and enjoy.
I am dripping wet with sweat.
It's a game. We lost it. 40 years down. They beat us once.
Where's that fake legend laugh now when you need it?
They just don't get Southeastern football. They don't understand the religion, Paul. They don't understand the dedication. They don't understand the terminology. They don't understand the opponents.
A lot of Bama fans are saying that they was Georgia's daddy. And they said daddy doesn't. Kalen DeBoer was Georgia's stepdaddy. So guess what? Vandy is the milkman.
Vandy is my daddy. Can you believe that? Do you hear that, Coach DeBoer? That don't piss you off, dude?
I love my school. Anchor down. Drop it on Bama's head.
I sucked the bottom out of a 12-ounce Bud Light in a can. Woo!
Jesus Christ.
I love that. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I love Paul Feinbaum.
There's nothing funnier than hearing that the stadium so Vanderbilt Stadium where the game is, it's like over 70% Alabama fans in there. The stadium's actively under construction during the game. Guys who are doing the construction stop to watch the end of the game. And then with a stadium under active construction, they tore the goalpost out and threw it in the river.
That was beautiful.
No, it was incredible. I am interested to see if there's going to be anything that comes from this. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you do there. It's really dangerous though. Now that I realize, because if you're near the parts,
if you watch the full video, they've got a police escort. It's fine.
No, I meant the part where they're bringing it down. It turns it into like a really sharp, fucked up, jagged piece of metal wherever it snaps.
You just need a tall you just need a tall guy on the very end.
And you need somebody smart enough not to run face first or side first or fall into this fucking sharp.
This is the one school I'm going to trust.
Oh, very true.
These kids just got out of the library, went and tore down a goalpost. They didn't even know there was a football game.
I'm stunned. I'm so happy for Vandy. And you heard those various SEC fans and their great opinions because they don't understand the religion of Southeastern football. It just means more here.
Yep, and now they're 1-60 now against schools in the top 5.
Their first win against Bama since like 84 or something.
Yeah, yep. I think it had been like 40 years or something.
It'd been exactly 40 years.
It was time.
Yeah. Well, Kalen DeBoer, I still think you got a decent team. We'll see how that goes for the rest of the season. Moving on to the rest of our list. BC falls to Virginia. Billy O's project looks like it's not going to be quite as dynamic this year, so we're probably going to go ahead and take BC off the sleepers list, they'll still make a bowl game, have a fun season, maybe upset somebody, but I think we're done with BC long term. Speaking of people we're done with probably maybe forever, West Virginia went into Stillwater and fucking destroyed the Pokes. 38-14 final. I'm a man, I'm 40. Now you're a man, you're like 60 by now. It looks like it might be time. How much worse will this be? I don't know. But I'm telling you right now, T. Boone Pickens would not be okay today if he was still walking this earth. Mike Gundy, as much as loyalty and love as there probably is there, it would be done.
That's a tough one. I don't know if you're allowed to get rid of Mike Gundy.
I don't know.
He is the program.
Well, but T. Boone is technically the program. T. Boone
He's
just
the money,
put Gundy there.
But
the money is the program.
It took him a while to find the guy.
And I think there's been a lot of struggle for Oklahoma State since T. Boone died to really take control. And now you're right. It is a situation where essentially T. Boone was the man. Now who else by default? I mean, I don't know the booster situation that well. If there's someone else that's a better middle between the two, but I would assume
family probably has it, right?
That's the money though. But the power, the interest, it's Gundy. The only person who was more interested and more powerful than him, who even possibly could have been, was T. Boone Pickens. So that's the crazy part of this. So we'll see.
Time for old Ricky Fowler to step in, come home, and
I mean, I still think Oklahoma State's an interesting program. So I would like to see a nice young coach get a hold of it and see what they can do. It's open maybe now. Who knows how long? Big 12's a wonky conference. We'll talk about it as we go this year, but Oklahoma State definitely not going to be a part of it, and it's pretty embarrassing for their hype. Even to fall short is one thing. They're not just going to fall short. They're face planting.
They were one of the biggest losers of Oklahoma leaving the SEC, if not the biggest loser.
Potentially.
That kills a lot of their recruiting. It has to.
Potentially it does. I would think. I still think it's a good program in other ways, but you're right. Maybe now this puts them clearly down at the other level instead of teetering in between like they were. Arkansas upset Tennessee Volunteers.
Another SEC upset, baby.
19-14.
That's what you expect. You expect to see some infighting.
You also expect to see Tennessee choke.
And Tennessee has been just absolutely obliterating people this season offensively, and Arkansas completely stymied them. Probably will happen again at some point down the road for Tennessee. As you start to figure out these SEC schools, this is why I say, hey, like some of these schools I get where everyone's like, oh shit, all these schools are so talented. Look where they're all ranking if you show them on the thing. But it's like Ole Miss. Obviously they've already got the loss, and I worry about them fundamentally. Missouri, we talked about. Arkansas goes and just gets to establish everything on Tennessee. LSU is an interesting kind of weird middle tier. Texas should be the powerhouse. Oklahoma's in middle tier where it's like maybe they're good enough to beat people, but not good enough to win it all. Georgia, Bama. I think Bama might not be as good as expected.
I think they've just stepped back with everybody else.
I think Bama defensively,
they're just with everybody else.
To me, it makes me really wonder if
they might slide further, but right now I think they're still.
I'm beginning to
Georgia, Texas.
I am beginning to pinpoint, and I'm calling it now. And I hope Texas doesn't fuck this up, because if I've got to be honest, they're the ones I feel the worst about. I think Georgia, Texas A&M, and Texas are the three programs that actually look like they have the build, the typical SEC build to come out. I'm not saying anybody else can't, but I'm just saying they have the build. I'm most skeptical about Texas because of the run game and the run defense. I always have been. I will be until hopefully they thump Oklahoma. That can be a good game to kind of shut me up there, but it seems to be consistent. Those other two teams don't have that issue at all. That's their strengths. So that's SEC football. Will finesse be better and work? Yeah, it can. It can work, but fundamentally we know the formula. So I'm interested as the SEC keeps going, Tennessee dropping. Anything to add to that?
No, I think your points.
Because now we basically have nothing but Big Ten football to finish us out. Actually, yes, this is nothing but Big Ten. Didn't even mean that to happen, but here we go. Washington gets revenge on Michigan. I don't know if it's cathartic or not. I don't know. They won. That's nice.
No one.
Definitely
I can guarantee you, no one at Washington feels like that. We've beaten Bama twice since 2010, and I do not care.
Yeah, it's tough. USC lost. USC lost in a game where they probably should have won. And I didn't scrap. I scrapped this because originally I was going to take a Lincoln Riley press clip that started going viral because he was being a little pissy to a reporter after the game.
No way.
But instead I went positive because I like positivity, and I like that PJ Fleck wears very interesting clothes.
Roll the boat, Scotty
Shout out to the Gophers. Shout out to PJ Fleck for keeping the Jim Tressel or modifying a Jim Tressel for a new generation.
Great. That's beautiful.
The other two games we'll finish up with. Ohio State beat the shit out of Iowa. Nothing crazy there.
Ohio State looks all right so far.
They look good so far. The Ducks handled Sparty pretty well as well. So both of those schools will face off. We'll get to that in a second. But before we do, Caesar, you might be looking for it. I didn't bring any Heisman moments this week. Didn't really see anything particular that needed to come out as a Heisman moment.
Not Genty?
Well, I mean, his total, but
first touch went for 63 yards.
Yeah, but it wasn't as spectacular. He didn't do the bounce at ping pong thing he did last week.
Yeah, the problem is he's already set the bar so high that now you just see a 60-yard run. You're like, okay.
Same with Ryan Williams. He had a hell of a touchdown this week too, and I didn't.
Oh, he did.
Is that the 17-year-old?
Yeah. Well, there's two. There's two, and you're about to learn about one of them because I have 2 catches and I have a muted video that's going to last for about 30 seconds, so we can talk over this. And I want you guys to help me determine who has the catch of the week. I have 2 options from the 2 games I just mentioned.
Okay.
First one, this is Oregon, Michigan State's early on. Dylan Gabriel rolling out the pass. Throws it out. Turf monster. No. Juggling catch. I threw a curveball at you guys. This isn't the typical catch of the week. This one this one is saving from disaster. I kind of appreciate the artistry. And this is just a good old-fashioned get off me, little boy.
He mossed that kid and did a one-hander.
And that's the other 17-year-old you need to learn about, who might even be the better of the 2.
Ooh, actually, that
at Ohio State.
right there.
Jeremiah Smith, I believe is his name.
No, give me number 2 there. Number 1's a fun highlight, but it's not the better play because that guy just fell down.
Okay.
But he saved it. That's why it's awesome.
It's cool. It's a cool highlight, but it's not a better play.
I want to go back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to the highlight real quick because I want to see this throw because I think this is a combination of a bad throw. Yeah, this is a bad throw.
Oh yeah, I mean it's
he's 1 foot jumping. Yeah,
it's a high level. It's a high level college player. It's not a guy who's going to the NFL.
Oh no, not at all. But like what I'm trying to get at here is this is a throw. This did not have to become a highlight or a fun play. But Dylan Gabriel made it because you see the trajectory of the ball. It's going this way. It's a good thing the turf monster was there for that receiver because otherwise I don't know.
He already saw it. He knew he was tripping. He knew he's
that was the thing. Is otherwise he stops, turns around, and it's just a bad throw. But he catches it because he still would have been so wide open.
Yeah, he's so wide open. Like that's
he would have actually been able to run, which maybe would have been a better highlight because college is stupid. And if you touch the ground, that's just the end of the play.
That's right. So I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring for the Ohio State catch because that was nice.
Yeah.
I mean that's why everyone in the NFL is going to be watching that kid for for 2 years, just anxiously being like, "Don't get hurt, don't get hurt, don't get hurt."
Even though that receiver was clearly tugging the defender down with his free hand. Always commit OPI, kids. Always commit OPI.
Yeah, the defender's also pulling with both of his arms, so I think that's a fair no. Like if they're both pulling, but you're able to use one hand to catch the ball, that's cool.
Very true. All right, we're gonna wrap up college football with the Week 7 watch list. These are the games you must watch. I don't care what you got to do, where you're at.
There's only one game. There
is one very, very important game. Interesting time slot. But there's actually quite a big slate this week. So naturally, everyone is going to be tuning in to UNT FAU. We're all going to be there 6 p.m. Saturday night. Very important. That's appointment television. But before that, if you want a nice little appetizer for some classic world-beating football, we'll tune into the number 1 Texas Longhorns versus the number 18 Oklahoma Sooners in Dallas, Texas at the State Fair. It's the big one.
I have a bunch of friends who went to Oklahoma, and they obviously go every year, and they invited me to come hang out at their tailgate, and I was like, I'm not confident, no matter what's going on in this game, to be just hanging out outside in public. I'm gonna be buried in my little cave here with the door locked.
Well, yeah, I mean, to not get into too much of a preview, but to maybe tease a little dangle of a preview, Quinn Ewers will be back. What does the rust look like? Again, I've talked about the 2 things, running and stopping the run. Oklahoma has moved on to a new quarterback, one who I think is a little more talented, maybe not as great of a thrower, but I think could give Texas some fits. Their defense is solid there. Brent Venables hangs his hat on that. He's maybe saved his job because of that. So definitely wouldn't rule out the Oklahoma Sooners. It's a rivalry game.
This game literally, you say this about a lot of games, but this game absolutely is just throw out anything and everything before the game. Because
I would say the only thing that's notable here, it's not 11 a.m.
Yeah, I mean it's happened a few times. They usually wait a long time to even let you know. We knew at least a little bit earlier this year, I feel like, but
Not an 11 a.m. game makes me feel like it's less wonky than usual, which favors Texas. But that's how I
Could
feel.
be,
Just
and I
on a
haven't
whim.
looked at the weather. It's probably pretty nice this year, right? I think it's actually gonna be kind of low.
I don't know. I'm gonna be out in Los Angeles kicking it, so Texas weather is not my problem this weekend, for once in my life, or one of the few times in my life.
High of 92.
Yeah. See you later, DFW.
Okay, so they're gonna be playing in the heat in Fair Park.
No, I'm gonna be enjoying.
Not the heat, but
yeah, it's not gonna feel great.
There is no shade in that stadium either, so
no. Yeah, that's a big one to watch. Obviously, Penn State will get another chance to prove that they're a good team. They'll be playing USC, who is still a good team, but is struggling to adapt to big boy football a little bit this year. Let's say. So I would definitely put Penn State on upset watch just because USC has the ability. They just haven't really had the killer instinct. Now their back is really against the wall. This is in Cali.
That's got it. Yeah, I feel like if I was gambling on USC games this year or next year, I'd just be doing a whole lot of home and away decisions.
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I think it's still the style of football struggling for them the most, but they have talent. They're a good program. They're just struggling to transition, which isn't a shock because this isn't what Lincoln Riley does historically. He doesn't build defensive running teams. Ohio State, Oregon will be the big game of the week probably if Texas OU doesn't live up to the hype and one of those teams ends up blowing the other out. Hopefully the one then the other. But the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Oregon Ducks will be a great game to watch. Fraud alert maybe potentially here. These are two teams that are ranked very high, but I think are still very much on the suspect list, the unproven list to the national media. So it'll be a great matchup to go against each other. Ole Miss LSU. This is going to be a quarterback duel. I'm even hoping that maybe it gets into a bit of a shootout in the modern SEC. If you're an NFL scout kind of person, Garrett Nussmeier still quietly sneaking up the very wonky and weird quarterback depth chart when it comes to this draft class. I think Cam Ward might be still doing enough to keep himself in that one. Shador is still very much coveted, at least to the projection people. Who knows what the actual NFL thinks. Quinn is still usually around there, but ultimately I kind of think Garrett Nussmeier might end up being the guy who steals the affection of the NFL teams. So you can watch him. LSU still, fairly loaded team this year. Got off to a bad start, but they're playing well since. Kansas State, Colorado will be the 9:15 game. So if you're an insomniac and you need something to watch through the wee hours, that'll be a good one because Kansas State looks like BYU's next closest rival in the Big 12. And Colorado looks like this is their shot to jump back into that conversation. So we shall see.
Hey, I got a bye week. I can stay up late.
Hey, I'm just saying. It's there.
I probably will not be watching Colorado football, though.
It's a decent watch, but I also understand. And for that, I will now hand over the ball to the CTE captain himself.
Let's
we're
do a
drafted.
quick pause and stuff here.
Yeah, pause for the cause.
Do what we gotta do.
What?
Because
That's what has me feeling really nicey. Like watching Jared Goff go 18 for 18, 292 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Got me feeling nicey.
I couldn't do that pregame warm-up. Ha!
Ho!